Right. Okay. Yeah. That'll work. That'll work. Okay. Look, I'm trying to book a later flight, and while I'm doing that, why don't you call Mason and back that breakfast meeting up till about 8:30? Oh yeah, distribute my schedule to the rest of the staff if you would, and tell Joan that I'll try and call her from the hotel later.
True or false? The most successful people are hopeless workaholics with back-breaking schedules and empty private lives. Hi, I'm Sue Robbins for Briefings Publishing Group, and I'm happy to tell you that the answer is false. You can be successful at your job without working 60-hour weeks, straining your family life, or going home every night feeling exhausted and frustrated. The key is to manage your time effectively. Over the next few minutes, we're going to show you how to conquer the chaos. We've put together some of the best ideas in time management, simple techniques that will help you tame your workload, overcome procrastination, limit interruptions, master the art of delegation, and use technology as a time-saving tool. First, we'll look at how to tame your workload. We'll start by looking at some common warning signs that your workload is out of control.
Hey, Jackie. You got everything you need for the big meeting today?
I will. I'm on the last section right now.
You like to live dangerously, don't you?
I'll make it. I still have 30 minutes till I have to present.
I don't know why it's not there. I'll have to get Margaret to trace it. Oh, wait a second. She just walked in.
Sharon from Langtree just called. She said she's not going to be able to handle that order after all.
Mark, I've got to go. Margaret will call you later with the information. Jerry, look, I hate to do this to you again, but you're going to have to drop everything you're doing and put together a presentation on this survey data by the end of the day.
You're kidding.
Jerry, I need your help.
All right.
Thanks.
If scenes like those ever happen to you, recognize the warning signs and be sure to take action. But since you're busy juggling dozens of projects and problems, how do you decide where to direct your efforts? First, don't make the common mistake of thinking that all tasks are urgent. That only creates stress. You need to determine which of your tasks, duties, and responsibilities are the most important to the organization and to you. Then devote the bulk of your time and attention to those tasks. Easier said than done, right? Well, it's easier than you might think if you follow these techniques. The first step is to set annual goals by creating a one-year strategic plan for your work. Here's how. Get a copy of your organization's goals or schedule a meeting with your boss to clarify his or her expectations of you over the next year. Then, make a list of your goals for the coming year, based on your organization's goals and your boss's advice. For example, if the company goal is improve product quality, then some of your strategic goals for the year might be to convince management to increase R&D spending, or increase patent applications 50%, or get approval for more R&D floor space. Then, assign a priority to each goal and set a deadline for reaching each goal. Once you've established your annual goals and the deadlines for reaching them, it's time to begin integrating them into your work. To do this, set monthly objectives by determining what you have to do each month to meet the annual goals. Use a calendar to list monthly activities you must complete to meet those goals, reports to write, sales to make, people to hire and train, and so on. After your monthly plan is set, it's time to drill down even deeper and make a weekly plan. The best way is to create a chart like this for each week of the month. For each week, list at least 5 goal-related tasks you need to complete. Then list the activities you'll need to undertake to complete those tasks. Assign an importance level to each activity, the date you'll complete it, and how much time it will take. Finally, it's time to make your daily schedule, which is all most of us ever do. We often think we can manage our time without establishing annual goals, monthly objectives, and weekly plans. All we do is list activities as they become urgent, and that's how we fall into chaos. By using your weekly plan to schedule your daily time, you'll get more of the important work done and be able to discard or delegate the rest. Here's how. At the beginning of each week, transfer activities from your weekly plan to each day's to-do list. Then, add the other tasks you need to complete. Label each item in order of priority. 1 is top priority and should be done today. 2 is important but doesn't have to be done today. And 3 is low priority. Schedule your top priority tasks, the 1s, at the beginning of each day. Then complete the 2s and try to delegate the 3s. Estimate the time needed for each activity and block off that amount of time on your daily schedule. As you complete each activity during the day, check it off. Then review your list again at the end of the day and check off the completed items on your weekly list as well. If you follow this method of setting goals and planning, you'll have much less chaos in your workplace. Here are some more chaos-reducing tips. Don't schedule every minute of your day. Realistically, you should expect to control only about 60% of each day. Use your to-do list, not scraps of paper. Delegate whatever you can. Set aside time each day to think and relax. Following these tips and carefully scheduling your time based on long-term goals will help conquer the chaos. But even when you understand your priorities, it's easy to put off doing the work. So the next step is to overcome procrastination. Here are some warning signs that procrastination is limiting your effectiveness. You sometimes put off tackling a task until either it's too late or you're embarrassed to do it. You often take work home and return it to the office untouched. You intend to do things only to forget about them later. Your mail tends to pile up on your desk or inbox. You're usually late or rushed for meetings, lunch engagements, and other business functions. If any of those scenes look familiar, you might be using one of these common excuses for procrastinating.
I don't know where to start.
The task isn't challenging.
I thrive on the last-minute rush.
I want to get it just right.
If you're so lost that you can't figure out where to begin, start with any task and keep going. Don't try to evaluate how much you've completed, and don't feel bad if you don't get far. You started, and that itself is progress. When the task isn't challenging, tackle it when you're in a good mood, and the monotony won't bother you as much. Or try doing repetitive tasks differently, even if it's as simple as driving another route to the post office. If you thrive on the last-minute rush, set your own deadline ahead of time and forget the real one. That way, you'll never be late and you can still get that last-minute burst of inspiration. If you procrastinate because you want to get it just right, this scene might stir up some bad memories.
How are things coming on the McMurrin project?
I'm about to get started on it. I was waiting for the latest financial report to make sure I had room in my budget.
You know what, Jerry, you can't afford to wait for those numbers. I mean, you should have had a draft proposal together by now. You got to get going on this.
You can't always wait for conditions to be perfect. Sometimes you have to put aside your perfectionism and get the job done. Now that we've covered the most common excuses for procrastination, here are more tips to keep you from putting things off until the last minute. Break large jobs into smaller, more manageable tasks. Tell others about your deadlines and encourage them to check up on you.
Oh, Margaret, can you remind me later that my budget report is due on the 14th?
Develop a clear mental picture of the completed task and how good you'll feel when it's finished.
Oh, this looks great, Jackie. Congratulations.
Thanks. I was a little worried. I'm glad you like it.
Oh, it looks fabulous. Nice work. Nice work.
Create a job jar, like many people have for their home repair tasks. Fill the jar with the projects and tasks you can't seem to find the time for. Try to tackle one each week. So now you've isolated your priorities and finally managed to sit down and start working on them. But how do you control something like this?
Hello? No, I didn't know about that. Well, when was it supposed to be there? Oh, okay. Uh-huh. Well, look, I'm going to have to check into it. Yes, I understand that you were depending on it. All right.
If you're a manager, this scene is probably all too familiar. All of a sudden, your interruptions have interruptions. And sometimes they simply can't be helped. But you can learn to limit interruptions. Here are 3 common warning signs that unnecessary interruptions are creating chaos for you. Employees frequently interrupt to have you solve simple problems, give you non-urgent information, or just check in.
Hey, Jackie, do you know where I can find a new toner cartridge for the copier?
You think you're the only one who can make decisions, forcing staffers to interrupt you.
Oh, and Margaret, please, get me prices from 2 shippers before you actually send the prototype.
And finally, you leave your door open and you face the entrance. That's a layout that encourages interruptions. Turning your desk away from traffic reduces your eye contact with uninvited visitors. Now that you're alert to the warnings, take these steps to limit interruptions. First, get tough. All interruptions are not created equal. In fact, many interrupters just want you to solve their problems. But that's not always the best course. Watch how Kevin handles an interruption.
Hey, Jerry, what's up?
I'm having trouble with those IT people. They won't fix my email. It's been down for almost 3 days now.
Well, what do you want me to do about it?
Kevin, you have more clout than I do.
Well, did you tell them about your problem today?
Yeah.
Did you tell them how important it was for you to be able to get emails from our customers?
Not exactly.
Well, look, Jerry, I'm in the middle of writing something for Joan that's due today. If you can't make any progress with them, set something up with me and we'll talk about it around 4:30, all right?
Great. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jerry.
Kevin asked Jerry some tough questions about what he did to solve the problem on his own. He also told Jerry that he was busy and suggested that they discuss the problem later. Doing these 2 things ends the interruption quickly and sends the person back to deal with the problem on their own. Next, you need to identify the worst offenders. You may discover that 80% of your interruptions come from about 20% of your people. Ask these chronic interrupters to save up their questions for scheduled meetings or send them to you by email.
Why don't you write down all your issues and maybe we can talk about it sometime this week? Or maybe email me and I'll get back to you.
Define your office hours. You'll cut down on interruptions by scheduling regular times to be available. For example, tell everyone to hold their questions and come see you between 1 and 3 each afternoon. You can also alert others when you need to work uninterrupted for the next half hour or so. If you can't avoid an interruption, finish the paragraph you're working on or add up that column of numbers before you respond. You'll get more work done and your hesitation may discourage the interrupter. Another technique is to ask the interrupter if his or her problem is more important than your current task.
Hey, Jackie, I need to ask you something.
Jerry, I'm trying to get the weekly production report out on time. Is your question a higher or lower priority than the report?
I'll come back.
Thanks.
Finally, you can post a "Please don't interrupt" sign outside your area to keep people from interrupting. Let everyone know when you'll be available again and how to leave messages for you until that time. And make sure you take the sign down promptly when you're finished with the critical task. So far, you've seen how to tame your workload, overcome procrastination, and limit interruptions. Still, it's possible to simply have too much to handle. So now, let's see how to master the art of delegation. Managers who rely on delegation know how well it works. If you give assignments to your trusted employees, you'll quickly find that you have more time for the things that only you can do. In addition, delegation often leads to better solutions because the employee closest to the problem is usually the best one to solve it. The more you delegate, the more your team will learn leadership, planning, and organization skills. And projects you dread, such as completing weekly reports, may be more interesting to lower-level employees who are eager to learn. Here are the warning signs that you don't delegate enough. You often find yourself thinking, if I want this done right, I'll have to do it myself. Some staffers are much busier than others. Talented employees seem bored. And you often take work home because you know you can't finish it otherwise. If these are common occurrences, it's time to improve your delegation skills. The first step is to pick the right kinds of tasks to delegate. Fact-finding assignments, report drafts, and data collection are all good candidates for delegation. Never delegate employee feedback, performance appraisals, or discipline. Next, know your employees' strengths. As much as possible, delegate according to interests as well as capabilities. Don't delegate a number crunching assignment to a staffer who would rather be on the phone to clients. Establish performance standards and deadlines. Set specific goals that both you and the employee agree on. How often will he report back to you? How will she know when it's time to ask for help? Be specific about these steps. That will ensure delegation works smoothly for you and your staff. For example, don't tell employees to improve customer relations. Give them a defined goal. That tells them exactly what results you expect them to deliver.
Jerry, make a minimum of 3 calls each week to our online customers to see how they like the new features. Keep notes on each call, even if they're satisfied.
Determine the skills and training each employee needs to complete the task. Don't set yourself or your employees up for failure by delegating tasks that go way beyond their skills and training. Next, stay involved. Smart delegation takes thought and planning. You can't simply sweep your inbox onto an employee's desk. Check in often, both casually
Hey, Jackie, how you doing with that data?
and formally.
Jackie, when will I have that final report on my desk?
Finally, offer support. Whenever someone makes a mistake, be tactful. Focus on correcting the error and regaining lost ground, not assigning blame. Suggest ways to correct the mistake, but let the employee handle the problem.
Everyone makes mistakes, Margaret. Just worry about fixing the list. And in the future, remember to check the different circuit chip numbers.
When you become comfortable delegating, staffers will learn to solve their own problems. Once they realize they can't kick problems back to you, they'll make their own decisions and you'll have more time. Well, we've covered most of the things that cause your time to spin out of control. In this final section, we'll show you how to use technology as a time-saving tool. Technology can save us a lot of time. We can send messages across the world in minutes or research an entire market in a few hours. But if you don't use technology in a smart way, it can become a real time drain. Here are the warning signs that technology is kidnapping your time. You routinely leave voicemail messages that say, "I wanted to let you know that I emailed you the information you needed." You have 10 or more voicemail messages in your inbox. You stop whatever you're doing to read incoming email messages. You've discovered, to your amazement, that you just spent the past 2 hours surfing the web. The following tips will help you use technology to your advantage. Remember that not all email and fax messages are urgent, so don't drop what you're doing just because you receive a fax or email. Instead, reserve 15 to 30 minutes just before noon and again before the end of your day to read and answer messages. Keep email messages short. Don't waste precious time composing the perfect email message. Email was made for quick reading. If you can't explain yourself or reply to a message with just a few words, contact the person for a live conversation. Use voicemail to your advantage. If you're going to be in a meeting or away from the office, or simply unavailable for an hour or two, change your outgoing message to divert callers to other staffers who can help. Reply to faxes by jotting your answer or brief questions right on the incoming fax and sending it back to the sender. Don't take the time to prepare an outgoing fax form unless you need to reply in detail. If you go on the internet to check the news or to take a break, make sure you set an alarm on your watch or computer for 15 minutes, then log off as soon as the alarm sounds. There you have it, the 5 main ways to conquer chaos in your workplace. Tame your workload, overcome procrastination, limit interruptions, master the art of delegation, and use technology as a time-saving tool. In today's workplace, your most valuable asset is time. If you use the tips you've learned in this program to manage your time more wisely, you'll have no trouble conquering the chaos. For Briefings Publishing Group, I'm Sue Robbins.